Hello. We are going to be talking about Ken Liu, and the topic is magic realism. And I'm Nguyen.
I'm Jolene.
And I'm Nolan.
I'm Days.
Okay, so here's like some part that we are going to discuss today. So it contains the historical and cultural time period, political and philosophical context, personal life, books and works, and influence on modern culture.
So, for the historical time period, in the paper Manjure, by Ken Liu, the mother wrote a letter to Jack on an origami tiger. She talked about her life, and one significant part about how she and her family survived the Cultural Revolution. The mother ended up becoming an orphan, but luckily she was taken in by the Qin family, and then later her husband took her to America. But what is the Cultural Revolution? The Cultural Revolution occurred from 1966 to 1976 and was caused by the Chinese Communist Party. Chairman Mao Zedong. He was scared that China would follow the same path as the Soviet Union had gone. So starting in August 1966, Mao shut down the schools and let the Red Guards attack traditional values and bourgeois things. It caused a lot of citizens to be abused, like physically and verbally, and also which caused many to die. During that time, the industrial production in 1968 dipped around 12%. Also, during the Red Guard phase, key leaders and communities were overthrown in order to construct new political bodies. Mao rebuilt the Communist Party and forced soldiers to take over schools, factories, and government agencies. In April of 1969, Defense Minister Lin Biao became Mao's successor, but was later killed as he tried to flee the Soviet Union while he was trying to plan the assassination against Mao. After Lin died, Premier Zhao Enlai tried to nudge China back into stability from 1971 to 1973. In 1972, Mao suffered from a stroke but did not die until mid-1976, which is the same year that Zhao also died. Mao's death and the purge of the Gang of Four in 1976 helped Deng pave the way for his reemergence in 1977. Next slide. So for the cultural time period, in the story of how the dad met the mom, they mentioned something about the introduction service, and how it was used in the story was that dad was flipping through a catalog full of info and pictures of women. In general, in introduction service is a service that brings two people of the opposite sex together. During this time, the mom was held in a basement for buyers to adopt them. In this case, the Chin family take care of the chose the mom to take care of the boys. Eventually, she ended up finding out about the catalog, um, which was the introduction service. So in order to have a good life, she signed up for it. Another instance of cultural differences was clear when the Nero was eating dinner with his family. As his mom talked in Chinese, he kept yelling at his mom to speak English and how he wanted to eat English food. Due to currently living in America and the narrator was bullied for looking Asian, the narrator, Jack, wanted to assimilate with the average American culture as a defense mechanism. Um, in the mother's case, she wanted to make sure that Jack kept a part of his Chinese culture, which would include the language, the food, and even the origami. Yeah, next. So for the political, a few years before the book was fully published, the Great Recession had finally ended. What started in December of 2007, the Great Recession negatively affected a lot of families and had caused long-lasting effects. According to Britannica, the Great Recession was caused due to the bursting of the US housing bubble. A lot of banks at the time were issuing mortgage loans at lower interest rates around 2001, and in 2005 the interest rates started to climb along with the demand of housing. Um, it slowly started to cause the home prices to fall, and people weren't able to afford their payments and had to borrow money or sell their homes at a profit. As more and more problems started to occur, people started to become employed due to businesses being forced to reduce their expenses and investments. A lot of firms had to declare bankruptcy too. When the Great Recession ended around 2007, the poverty rate was at 12.5%. As time went on, the poverty rate still increased to 50% in 2010. Due to people losing their jobs, houses, and maybe even family, they most likely tried to find comfort in whatever they could. During this time, it could have brought back memories of when Ken Liu was with his family and what he cherished during that time. With this thinking, he could have been influenced to write about his heritage and more. Next slide. Another political context would be the rise of social media. Um, during the late 2000s and early 2010s, social media has been on the rise. With social media rising, it gives people the chance to connect with their heritage and family that could either be living a few miles away or even across the world. According to Pew Research Center, they created a survey about why people use social media sites such as Facebook, MySpace, LinkedIn, and or Twitter. Around 60% of people mainly use it to stay in touch with their friends, and also they mentioned that within those same amount of people, 64% of them use it to study. I'm sorry, in the same study, mainly used it to connect with their family members. Not only were they able to talk about their family members, they could also keep in touch with their culture. Some social media, such as YouTube, started to get also really popular within that time. When YouTube was officially launched on December 15th, 2005, there were around 2 million vi 2 million views each day. The number would proceed to increase as time went on. YouTube is a streaming site has different types of videos such as movies, television shows, comedies, or just people's daily lives. With YouTube and other social media sites, people were able to get an understanding of what was going on in the world, which could keep people connected culturally. It could also help them express their creativity. With the rise of social media, Ken Liu could have been influenced by others and their culture. Wanting to spread his own culture and the importance of family, he could have decided to write a book about it.
Okay, so Ken Liu's stories explore important themes that connect with everyone. One of the main ideas in his work is humanism and empathy. He believes that stories help us understand and connect with others' experiences. As he says, stories are the engines of empathy. This shows how powerful storytelling can be in bringing people together. Liu also focuses on identity and duality, especially how people balance their cultural backgrounds with societal expectations. This is a big theme in many of his stories where characters try to figure out who they really are, sometimes struggling between their heritage and the world they live in. For example, in The Paper Menagerie, the main character faces a conflict between the expectations of his Chinese heritage and the pressures of living in America. This reflects how technology impacts relationships and self-identity, which is another theme in Liu's writing. Technology shapes how people connect with each other and their culture. Finally, Liu mixes Eastern and Western philosophy in his work, combining ideas from Confucianism, like the importance of family, with Stoic principles about personal growth and dealing with adversity. This blend gives us his stories more depth and allows readers to see human experience from multiple perspectives.
Thank you. Hello everyone, today I'm excited to introduce you to the life and achievements of Ken Liu, a renowned science fiction writer and translator. Early life and background. Ken Liu was born in 1976 in Lanzhou, Gansu, China, and moved to the United States with his family when he was just 8 years old. His early experiments as a Chinese immigrant in America greatly influenced his writing style and theme. He often reflects on his cultural heritage and identity in his stories, drawing inspirations from his childhood experiment, education and career path. Ken Liu studied at Harvard University, where he majored in English literatures and law and computer science. Before becoming a full-time writer, he worked as a software engineer at leading technology companies such as Microsoft. Later, he pursued a career in law, specializing in intellectual property. and technology lore before the translationing to writing and translation in 2017. Personal interest. Ken Liu is deeply interested in blending technology, history, and culture into his writing. His story often explores them of identity, family, and heritage, reflect his own immigrant experiment. Achievement. Ken Liu was the first author to win the Hugo, Nebula, and World Fantastic Award for the same work, the paper Menagerie. Additionally, he translated Liu Cixin, The Three-Body Problem, introducing Chinese scientific fiction to the world. Yeah, that's all.
So today I'll talk about the books and works by Ken Liu. So the first book is The Algorithm of Love. It's a work published by Ken Liu in 2004. So this story tells that Elena, a genius in robotics and language algorithm, so she created a very realistic robot doll, and this was very popular among the people. But like after she lost her child, like during an accident and pregnancy and could not have another child, she became obsessed with making robot dolls to comfort herself and other mothers who had lost their children. So she gradually began to lose herself and even begin to not know what was real. So after that, she begin to confused with like how can people have their own thought and what's the difference from the people and the robot. Okay, the second book is like the short story collection, means name is like the Singularity Survivors. It includes 22 latest masterpieces and classics exploring how ordinary life will continue to exist in the context of the advent of the singularity era and virtual data controlling everything. And the for right one is the Grace of Kings, and it is the first book in the Dandelion Dynasty content by Kan Liu. And this is an epic fantasy novel, and it imaged the founding of the Han Dynasty and the Chu Han context. And it depicts the brutal consequences of the clash of ideals, showing the cost and impact of love, friendship, loyalty, mm, betrayal, war, and ambition as realistically as possible. So this book is different from others because like this book is like uh it's like about the real world in Chinese history, and also the main characters is like the real characters in Chinese world. Okay, so for this book, it's like the book we read recently, and it is the short story is the paper Menagerie is the first work of fiction of any length to win all of the Nebula, Hugo, and the World Fantasy Awards. So it tells the story of the relationship and conflict between a Chinese mother and her American-born son. So the main character is the boy called Jack, and like as his like childhood, like he very like his mother and also like the paper animals made by his mother. But like during his growth, so the people around him see like the Chinese culture is not good. So like he began to abandon the Chinese culture and also like didn't say anything to his mother. But like after his mother died, so he began to understand what his mother think about and also understand the love from his mom. And also like the most important, he began to like pick up the innocence that he lost before. And the story uses the magical realism to show the issue of the cultural identity and emotional barriers faced by Asian Americans. So these two books is like the work that translated to like the Chinese into English like by other authors. So he has like translated the work as multiple Chinese authors into English, includes Liu Cixin. So for the left one is the three-body problem from Liu Cixin in Hao Jingfang, Chen Qiufan, and Xia Jia. So his translation of the three-body program is like this one. So it helped the book become a bestseller to English readers. He has also worked as an editor while editing the Azology, Invisible Planets is the right one. So this one is like the translated the stories contain like within and from Chinese into English.
Um, so influences on modern culture. Ken Liu has become a bridge between Eastern and Western literature, hoping to bring new ideas from both sides of the world. His work often touches on themes like identity and heritage and the immigrant experience, topics that many people can relate to. His story, The Paper Menagerie, made history as the first work of fiction to win all three major sci-fi awards, which shows just how influential he has become in the genre. As Leo puts it, good fiction allows us to empathize with lives different from our own. This is what makes his writing so impactful, and it helps readers understand experiences that are different from their own, whether it's about cultural identity or human emotions. Ken Liu's writing speaks directly to the challenges many Asian Americans face when it comes to balancing their heritage with living in a different culture. His story, The Paper Menagerie, captures the struggle of staying connected to one's roots while navigating life in a Western society. Through his work, Liu has inspired many other authors to explore similar multicultural themes, helping to shift the conversation in modern literature. As noted by Rubia, by presenting complex hybrid identities, Leo helps normalize the multi-faced realities of immigrant communities. This is a big part of why Leo's writing resonates so deeply. It reflects the real, sometimes difficult experiences of people living between two cultures. Liu's influence extends beyond books and into modern media. His translation of the three-body problem introduced Chinese science fiction to a global audience, opening up new ideas in speculative fiction. Meanwhile, The Paper Menagerie has set a new standard for how personal and historic trauma can be woven into universal stories. Liu's work continues to inspire modern media like Netflix's adaptation of the three-body problem and the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. Both of these explore similar themes of identity and belonging. As LitCharts points out, Liu's stories resonate in a world increasingly grappling with cultural fluidity and belonging. Liu often says every act of communication is an act of translation, which captures how his work transcends language and cultural boundaries, helping people connect with each other on a deeper level.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
all. Thank you. Thank you.